Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Princess, who is going to be an advanced token wheel character coming to RTS. Now visually we have had a princess before in the Mythic era who was also just called Princess. I think this is the first time we've had a character released a second time with exactly the same name. Normally they have some interesting name like, I don't know, Rebel Princess or something like that, I'm not sure, but it's just gonna be Princess again. It is a strong version. You can see on the right hand side she is holding a default baseball bat, so it doesn't look like she's going to have an attached weapon. She's got a weapon on her back. She's got that pink petticoat, as we know, the purple hair. She's pretty geared up, looking pretty good. On the left hand side we can see she has got a two-handed weapon here, which probably will come to the game in some other form, but yeah, nice looking weapon there, and kind of like mid stance. It looks like she's taking out multiple walkers with one thrust of that spear. So yeah, very nice indeed. If we look at her stats at limit break 3, level 1440, she has got 13,166 attack, 30,721 defense, and 43,887 HP. She is of course a strong character like I mentioned before. She's going to be of the control role, Gold Mythic character of course, and she's going to be a member of the Rebels. Hence me saying maybe she could have been called Rebel Princess, but it is what it is. As we check out the Adrenaline Rush, it is called Blinding Shield. It is a 55 AP cost rush, so kind of normal for a defense team character, and this character has very defensive stats, so that's where I expect her to be. All other teammates get Guardian Shield. While battling on the defense team, normalize a line of enemies for 2 turns, deal 10% of this fighter's max HP as damage to a line of enemies. So obviously 3 parts of this. The all other teammates getting Guardian Shields is nice. Princess has bonuses if she takes damage based on her specialist skill, and that is primarily why I see her not getting a Guardian Shield herself. The while battling on the defense team, normalize a line of enemies is interesting. It isn't as like heavy as using Normalize on an attack team, but obviously having certain characters normalize, let's say a decap or a follow-up or a command, it is very problematic, and it can be quite hard to know that your characters are normalized when you're actually using them on an attack team. Lastly, the dealing of the damage based on her max HP. Her max HP is her highest base stat, so obviously if you raise the stats with weapons, leader skills, mods, the HP is going to be pretty decent. So I can see her getting up to at least 100k base HP without too much of a problem. She starts off at pretty much 45,000, so I don't see it being too hard to get up to the triple figures. So she should be doing at least double digits on this damage. Now as she's a control character, I see this as more of a support rush and not something that's meant to do huge amounts of damage, but the damage is just a little bit of a bonus on top. Okay, so as you can see, Princess has got her Adrenaline Rush, and she'll obviously use that rush after I just defend with this last character. Guardian Shield should go up on my team. We should have some Normalizes come out, and we should have some line damage come out. She has only got her base HP. I have not improved her HP in any way, so it'll just be the base damage that she's going to do. It's based on her max HP when she does the rush. The only thing that can actually reduce the amount of damage that would happen here would be maim. But if she's taken damage, which she's taken a little bit of damage here, it isn't actually going to reduce the damage that actually happens. It's based on the max HP. So we'll defend on this character here. You'll see the Adrenaline Rush comes in, and now you can see Guardian Shields up on the entire team except for Princess. My 2 characters up the top are normalized, and this is a decap and someone who has Waste Not. These are pretty important specialists to get, you know, certain parts of their kit out, especially someone like Titan with decap. And then obviously she did the damage. It isn't significant damage off base, but the higher you get her HP, the higher that damage is going to be. Now if we look at the upgrades on this Adrenaline Rush, at grade 3 it gets an upgrade while battling on the defense team. Normalize a line of enemies for 2 turns. At grade 5, it gets a 5% damage boost, so it'll go from 5% of this character's HP as damage to a line of enemies, up to 10% of this character's HP to a line of enemies. Lastly, at LB2, it gets another upgrade where all other teammates get a Guardian Shield. This is obviously really nice for survivability. This isn't going to happen too early on in the fight, so if it gets to the point where Princess is doing the adrenaline rush, it's just going to be problematic and slow things down even further than they have been already. Normalize is going to pretty much do the same. Potentially is going to make it harder to keep characters down. You're not going to get those nice specialist skills that are going to actually work. For instance, commands. If you've seen the Normalize tower, when it lands on a command, it's just frustrating. You can just defend your character, nothing happens, and no one got commanded, and you're just sitting there just like, oh, yeah, that's the thing. Especially when you've got a lot of buffs on your characters, and sometimes even a couple of debuffs, it is hard to realize what characters are affected by what. Especially when you're trying to attack as fast as possible, you can run into issues when attacking, when normalized, obviously. So yeah, pretty decent adrenaline rush, more of a support-based control adrenaline rush. The damage I just see as purely bonus, but attack teams don't have much HP. Obviously, if you get Princess's HP up to those triple figures like I talked about before, it's going to be doing like close to 50 to 60% of a character's HP on an attack team most of the time. Now, Princess does have a signature move, and it is called Health Check. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 1 turn, number of uses unlimited. If this fighter has 75% or more HP, impair 2 random enemies for 3 turns. If not, this fighter gets 100% bonus HP and heals 75% of their max HP while battling on a defense team, deal 800% damage to an enemy. Now this is kind of interesting. It kind of gives me flashbacks to a character I believe in the 6-star era where they had a if they are at 75% HP. I think it was more based on their weapon and their specialist skill, but this is going to be based on, you know, obviously just the HP of Princess, and it will give you 2 outcomes on the signature move here. So the first part, if this fighter has 75% or more HP, this means generally on that first signature move, it will impair 2 random enemies for 3 turns. 3-turn impair is really nasty. And generally speaking, attack team characters have better adrenaline rushes than they do signature moves. Although that has kind of like balanced out a little bit more recently. But still, adrenaline rushes is where a lot of power is in attack teams. If you can't rush for 3 turns, that's a big problem. If the character is under 75% max HP, this character will get 100% bonus HP and heal for 75% of their max HP. So that means they'll always go over 75% of their max HP for the next signature move, if you didn't know. Like if they're at 1% HP, then they'll be at 76. It's just to make it sure that the next time they do this, effectively, it would be the impair side of things. The 800%, again, this last part, I mainly see this as a little bit of a bonus. I don't see this doing significant damage because it is going to be based off of her attack stat, which is not going to be crazy. So I don't see this as being like a big problem. I think a lot of the time where a lot of Princess's takedown potential is going to come is from that specialist skill and how the rest of her kit works, basically. But this is just a little bit of damage on top, just as kind of like a little bonus, I guess you could see. Okay, so for the first test on the signature move, we're just going to hit defend on all characters. This one will be with 75% or more of her base HP, and she should just do a bit of damage and impair 2 characters. The damage isn't actually going to be as bad as I first thought. I forgot the fact that attack team characters have no defense pretty much. So even though she doesn't have much attack, it is basically attacking someone who is paper thin. And they haven't got much HP either, so it's going to look significant to a character. Like, that's more than 50% of Agent 46's HP, and I don't think anyone's ever really going to raise the attack of Princess on defense, and I don't think realistically people are going to raise the defense of Agent 46 on attack. So you kind of get an idea of the kind of damage that is going to be dealt here. You can see 2 characters here are impaired, and obviously that's going to be problematic. This is going to be off of turn 1 from Princess's perspective, so turn 2 onwards from your attack team's perspective. It's going to be massively problematic if it lands on the wrong characters, your key damage dealers, and no adrenaline rushes coming off, so on and so forth. Yeah, problematic indeed. Now this time around, we are going to be attacking, and Princess has got less than 75% of her max HP. When she does the signature move, instead of impairing, she's going to do a big heal with the bonus HP, so on and so forth. The damage will still be there. Let's hit a defend action. And she's going to use the signature move. She's going to do, again, pretty half-decent damage against an attack team character. It's not too bad. But you can see she's got 100% of her bonus HP now. and she got healed for 75% of her max HP, which in this case would take her up to 100% max HP. She's obviously, if she was at 10% max HP, she got to 85% max HP. This can be affected by things like heal reduction and stuff like that, so just to bear that in mind. However, some people may not realize that the bonus HP does not affect in any way her adrenaline rush damage. Damage based off of max HP is based on the red bar, not the blue bar included. Now, if we look at the upgrades on the signature move, you can see at grade 2 it gets an upgrade. While battling on the defense team, it deals 400% damage to an enemy. At grade 4, it gets -1 to starting cooldown, so it goes down to a turn 1 starting cooldown. That's quite accessible, honestly. Not a lot of the time the starting cooldown going down to turn 1 is LB3. Then we have LB1 upgrade coming in, where it'll be a 400% damage boost, and it will go from 400% damage up to 800% damage. And at LB3 it gets -1 to cooldown, where it'll go down to a 1-turn cooldown. It is a very fast cooldown, and that is very worth getting if you want this character to be obviously much harder to deal with. But the -1 starting cooldown being so low in the grades, 1 copy required for that, that is actually quite significant to, you know, take notice of, because this going off early will be very good for your defense team. Impairs alone, the heals will be nice. Obviously, if someone would have to focus this character, and obviously there's downsides to focusing someone with this specialist skill. So it's kind of like a judgment call from an attack team perspective, and that's actually pretty decent. So again, like some of the more recent characters, maybe a little bit of accessibility if you can't get the character to LB3 and they can still be reasonable. Remember, this character has got the more advanced stats that have been coming out recently, so you won't have as crazy stat drop-off as you would have otherwise. But I guess it can come down to the limit breaks and so on and so forth for the adrenaline rush and the passives, where you kind of see the balance here. But I think this signature move is good. It looks a bit more heavy than it actually is, obviously, because it's based on the character's HP, if they are above or below 75%. Initially, it just looks like a wall of text, and you're like, damn, this does a lot. But it's not too crazy when it comes to the amount it's doing, but what it does do is very significant. The heal is very nice. That's going to be very nice for her survivability. That would actually counter things like infection, so on and so forth. And because this is every other turn, she's going to be popping off very quickly with this signature move. And then the Impair, well, I think that's pretty straightforward. It is problematic for any attack team. So yep, quite nice. Does turn Princess into a bit of a bigger distraction early on in the fight, where you kind of have to deal with her in some sort of way. So potentially going to be taking like eyes off of her teammates, which will open up the potential for them to get their rushes off and so on and so forth. So Princess is, of course, an advanced token wheel character, and as so, we're going to be doing an advanced token giveaway. One lucky person has a chance to win 10,000 advanced tokens, and all you have to do is write in the comments down below as part of a sentence, so you don't get spammed by YouTube, the word Rebel, because Princess is going to be joining the Rebels, which makes a bit of sense, I guess, with kind of how Princess is. But if you want to join the giveaway, the word Rebel is the one to do. I'll be picking a winner on my live stream in about 10 days, a week Monday basically. You can check that live stream to see if you've won. I do reply to the comment of the winner as well, so make sure you have your notifications turned on so you get to see the replies to your comments. Best of luck if you enter, guys. Now back to the video. Now, checking out Princess's mythic abilities, obviously her passive skills, she has got precision because she is a control-based character. This is going to help with that Impair. This is going to help with that Normalize. It's also going to help with other parts of her kit as well. Impact Absorption is the first of her unique passives. At the start of each wave, all teammates get 20% damage over time reduction for each strong and alert teammate for 3 turns. This is actually really powerful, and it's kind of reminiscent of someone like Jie Feng, who had the same sort of thing on her weapon, but hers was 100% resist to strong and alert characters. It pretty much works the same way, but as a reduction, and that means it's always going to be effective even if you don't have a full team. Let's say you only have 3 alert and strong characters, it'll be a 60% reduction, which is still pretty significant. And we are seeing the rise of burn and bleed again, so this character can be kind of useful in certain defense teams along the lines of like Denise and so on and so forth. If we check out the next one, it says 70% chance this fighter recovers from 2 random penalties before being attacked. This seems strange, but basically we'll get into it when I show the tests. It does mean that any negative effects on the character when they get attacked have a chance to be cleansed. Again, like I said, we'll get into a bit more detail when I show it on the test. This is the big one. Provocation at the start of each wave and turn. 100% chance to taunt 2 support role enemies for 2 turns. This is actually kind of nuts. This is crazy powerful. She has got the precision passive as well, so any resistances anyone has are going to be reduced by 40% or up to 40% if you get this character to limit break 1, and that is nuts, honestly. Like I say, at the beginning of every turn, if you have an entire team of support characters, you potentially could have 4 characters getting taunted on turn 2, because 2 characters already be taunted and then 2 other characters can potentially be taunted. I'm gonna just, for a bit of fun, and maybe not so much fun, but just to show you how this works, I'll put 5 support characters into a team and just see what happens. But first off, let's check out hassle-free mainly and see how that part of it works. Okay, so we're going to attack here, and I have got a character that can apply effects without actually doing any attacks, so that's going to be Diamond. This will always land and have no chance of being resisted, so that's just one thing to note. If the attack doesn't actually hit Princess, it doesn't have a chance to cleanse the thing that they just applied effectively. However, Titan, he has to do an attack to do his Normalize, so in that attack he has an actual chance to cleanse his own Normalize. It's actually kind of crazy. He'll do the signature move. This time he does actually add the Normalize to the character. Now if I attack with another character, we can potentially cleanse those 2 effects, and now she has no longer got Normalize and she has no longer got stun. And as you can see, the Normalize cleanse came in before the damage hit the character, so she has gained part of her bide when it comes to her specialist skill. So this can be very problematic in taking down this character with Normalize, and you can be massively punished for risking it. You can still obviously take it down in certain ways when it comes to protecting your team against the damage, counter damage reduction and camouflage, but she's still going to actually make that be a chance to proc, so it's higher risk. And just to show you one more time, Titan does have a chance to actually cleanse his own Normalize with his own attack, because when I do this signature move here, you can see she got Normalized. You saw the cleanse animation on Princess, and now she has gained bite. This is because you can cleanse any effects you apply with the attack that the character actually does. Okay, so I put together a team of support characters, and this is just to show how ridiculous it potentially could be if you went in with full support team characters. I wouldn't do that against Princess, that's for sure. She has a 100% chance to taunt 2 of these characters off of turn 1 because of the wave bonus. So at the start of the fight, 2 of your characters will instantly get taunted who are support, and then at the beginning of the next turn, 2 characters can get taunted again. It could be the same characters again, but it could also be other characters. We'll start the fight. You'll see 2 of my characters automatically got taunted, and because of her specialist skill, one of them got taken out by the bide. Now what I will also do here is I'll defend. When I defend on Akira here, I will be applying burn to the entire defense team. There is a little bit there already because of Tai. However, because they're all alert and they're all strong characters, that 20% addition to damage reduction gets added, which will mean you should see a bunch of zeros just pop up here when it comes to the damage over time. Let's have a little look. Lots of zeros. It reduced all of the damage down to 0 from damage over time. This is going to be for the first 3 turns of combat. You can see another support character did indeed get taunted. I'll go to the next turn again, and now you can see more characters are going to get taken out. This is actually from my other teammates, like my S classes here. This is just so they're not doing too much, but they're still decapping. You can see it's just problematic with the endless taunt. You can't really get out of the loop. Now we've got 3 characters taunted. I wanted to actually see if there was potential that we could have more than just the 2. And now all 3 characters are taunted. 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, this is problematic. I don't have. You're in a loop at this point. If you remember back to the old eras where this could potentially happen, But it is in your own hands. You are signing your own death warrant, effectively, if you take support characters in against Princess. This does mean certain characters are not viable against her, the likes of Sophia, Akira, and the damage over time, obviously, that Akira brings to the table. Princess is going to counter that to quite a heavy extent. If we look at the upgrades on these passives, you can see at grade 1, she gets the first half of impact absorption. At the start of each wave, all teammates get 10% damage over time reduction for each strong and alert teammate for 3 turns. At grade 2, she gets the first half of precision, making resistances 20% lower against this fighter. And at grade 3, she gets the second half of impact absorption, where at the start of each wave, all teammates get 20% damage over time reduction for each strong and alert teammate for 3 turns. Again, this one is quite accessible, and along with her signature move being quite accessible to a turn 1 signature move, you could get this character to a low grade and it still be good. Like LB1 could still be pretty decent on a defense team. Then we move on to the next 2. Hassle Free comes in with a 40% chance this fighter recovers from 2 random penalties when being attacked. And at grade 5, Provocation 1 comes in at the start of each wave and turn, 50% chance to taunt 2 support role enemies for 2 turns. Like I say, I think this character is going to be reasonable at a lower grade, but obviously if you want to get the best out of this character, you have to move on to the limit breaks. And that's where you're going to get the second half of Precision 2. This is going to help with her Adrenaline Rush. Normalize, it's going to help with her signature move Impair, and it's going to help a lot with that passive taunt. And at Limit Break 2, Hassle Free 2 comes in, 70% chance total now that she recovers from 2 random penalties before being attacked. And at LB3, Provocation 2 comes in, where it will be 100% chance to taunt 2 support role enemies at the beginning of the wave and turn. This lasts for the entire fight. This is basically going to ward attack teams off of using support characters against Princess teams. And even if they, let's say, had Paragon mods, the best resistance they could possibly get there would be 50% resist, because she will reduce that resist by 40% because of precision. Extremely powerful passives. This is what really brings the character together. The Adrenaline Rush is quite nice. The signature move has some nice survivability and nice control, but this is where it gets kind of crazy. Particularly Provocation, just because it's going to limit the characters that people can use. You effectively can't use an entire role against Princess or run the risk of one-shotting your own characters early on in the fight because of her specialist skill. The cleanse mechanic on this as well is really, really good. I would say that a character that can cleanse heavily, and this is a heavy cleanse character, you might want to think about something like Trauma Resist, so she can't take damage when she cleanses. Now, I've seen the specialist skill kind of pop up now and again. We know what it is. It's Vengeance. It's the same as Peacekeepers, and it's the same as Jesus 2K. It is the 3rd Vengeance to come into the game, and it is the first strong character to get Vengeance. The last trait would potentially be Alert. We'll have to keep our eyes out for that one. And you can see, store damage taken from attacks, active signature moves, and rushes after storing damage equal to 30% of the HP, or when using the defend action, deal 150% of the stored damage to one enemy immediately and reset stored damage to 0. This half of this dual specialist is the bide half, but then the second half is when taking more than 30% of max HP in a single rush, active, or signature skill, deal that damage back to the attacker and up to 2 additional enemies. This is obviously the payback half of this specialist skill. The fact that Princess can cleanse, normalize when it is even applied to her, if it's applied to her with an attack, is massive, and means that she realistically can't be taken down unless you're fully set up with your attack team against this character. And it is worth noting that the primary character to take down Vengeance characters in those teams is Sophia, and Princess seems to be kind of hard countering her with her passive. Damage over time is going to be a problem. Infection might even be a problem because of her signature move where she heals up to 75% of her max HP. Taking down this character, I think, is going to be very, very problematic. Now, as shown in the intro, Princess does not have an attached weapon. It's just going to be the base default bat. This means you can put in her hands whatever weapon you kind of wish. You can put in her hands a weapon that is going to proc things when she gets attacked. Remember, those taunted attacks could proc things, and that could proc things like heals. So she could potentially heal herself just to be, you know, keep that HP nice and high if you want to primarily do Impair. She could even hold a cleanse weapon. I think there is a cleanse weapon out there, so she could cleanse even more effects when she is attacked. There are definitely some ways you can do this on Princess. Strong character. There is a reasonable amount of strong defense team weapons out there. There is the Warrior Champions weapon that was around before as well. You could potentially put an absolute defense weapon on her, which again, it does exist. The Warrior Champions weapon has that absolute defense, but she's a character that you do want to be actually getting hit so that it procs her specialist skill, builds up that bide, and potentially obviously counters damage back to your opponents. But it should be pretty straightforward. HP and defense is the way to go. The other effects is basically what you can come up with. We'll see what Princess's Spear is going to be like when it is released. It could potentially come in a Battle Pass, League Store event. We'll have to wait and see. So this was Princess, and she is going to be the third Vengeance character to come to RTS, and she looks extremely problematic to deal with. She's going to be basically super cleanse. If you thought that Jesus was hard to take down with his cleanse on the weapon and so on and so forth, this is kind of crazy, the amount of cleanse potential this character has. Not being able to do damage against this character, actual like straight up, is going to be problematic. Any targeted damage has a chance to cleanse this, and even the application of Normalize, like I showed before, can be cleansed in that character's attack. As you saw with the Titan attack previously, that is going to be a problem in itself. Do tell me any ideas you've got to take down Princess, because I think it is going to be pretty difficult. Let me know your thoughts on this character in the comments down below. That is the end of my video, guys. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on.